Hello there, and once again, welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe. I'm, of course, David Driver, and when we talk about the World Storytelling Cafe, that literally means all around the world. And I am from England, Yorkshire to be precise, way up north in the colder, darker lands. And you can see the board behind me, and if I just stand to the side, it just say imagine, create and inspire. And I do hope that's what the wonderful website does for all these fantastic storytellers from literally all around the world to write and read, be inspired yourself, be creative and just enjoy storytelling. And my saying there, it says, under the light of the sun, we shall weave our words of magic, and under the light of the moon, we shall dream about them. And I want all you lovely people to take that away with you. And I have to say, I think I'm possibly speaking for most of the world. I do hope I'm okay saying that. It's very, very warm at the moment, even in England and even in sunny Yorkshire. Extremely warm, so keep yourself safe in these warm times. Well, today's set is it's a mixture. It's a mixture today. I do have another copper penny stories. If you've been listening to any of my sets before, I've been telling you some wonderful tales regarding copper pennies. I'll finish off with that one, but I'm going to open up with a poem, and in the middle I've got a couple of, or two or three 99-word stories. But let's start with the poetry. Some people may be put off by poetry, but I think it can be fun. I think that poetry can be really fun, and you can use silly words and make yourself laugh, make others laugh, and it can just inspire you to write a lot more poetry. So I've been thinking, and I've got 3 or 4 different thoughts going on in my head. So just bear with me here, because if I put here my keys rattling, this is a padlock. That is what we would call a padlock. And obviously, I have got the keys. So the padlock could quite easily be locked. You might use that padlock to lock a garage door or a house or something. You have something in there really, really valuable. So you would put on a padlock. And if you've got the right key, you put the key in and it opens up. So padlock, locked, padlock, unlocked. But what would happen if the padlock was locked and you couldn't get in? Excuse me. You might want to get inside and you want to save the padlock. Who are you going to call? You're not going to call Ghostbusters. You would call a padlock picker. There could be someone who could secretly and cleverly, instead of putting the key in, like so, what do? We go like that. We got to call the padlock picker. So that might feature in today's poem. Now, we can also take a look at clocks. Now, this is a nice clock. I love this clock. It's a nice clock, and it's got a dragon out. Look at that. Is that better than my face? Don't do out. What do you mean, no? I mean, yes, no, eh? Look at that. Better without a face, clock face, or my face? You decide. Well, there's only one decision. It's me. So that's a clock. And sometimes a clock may well get a crack in it. And what do you need to do? You might have to clean it. So you might have to call in someone that could clean the actual crack in the clock. Now, you won't believe this, but but this is my dinner. This is obviously a sandwich. It's actually a tuna mayonnaise sandwich. Do like a tuna mayonnaise sandwich. And always be careful with knives. Yes, this is a knife. So the sandwich could be sliced. We could slice the sandwich with a knife. So sandwich, knife, slice. Quite easily done. I'll just put that down there for now. Now, the fourth item, the fourth thing, if you like, that's going to be featured in this poem is rats. Oh, no. Oh, I don't particularly... I'm a bit 50-50 with rats. I'm not particularly keen on the tale. All these horrible tales about rats. Who wants rats? And yes, before people go squirmish, there could be some people hiding, going, no, not the rats. No, I haven't got any rats, no live rats, and I don't even have any toy rats. So what are we going to do now? We have a little bit of fun, because with poetry, sometimes poetry can be like a song and get a nice rhythm going to it, and you can use words. You can use words starting with the same letter, alliteration, and it sounds funny, it sounds good, it makes you feel good. So let's think now what I have been telling you about. I've talked about a padlock, I've told you about a padlock, clocks, and rats, and sandwiches. So if we put them all together, then what we can do is we can come up with a poem called Locks, Clocks, Sandwich Slice, Rats Are Nice. And I think that you will like it. And it tells a little story. So let's see if you like this. Let's see if you like this poem. It goes like this, a little bit tongue twisty as well, so I might get it wrong this time. It's live. Well, it's live recorded. I might get it wrong. Let's see what happens. It goes like this: padlock picker, padlock picker, padlock picker of locks. Pick me a padlock promptly. Pick me a padlock that's locked. Remember the second thing? Clocks. Clock crack cleaner. Clock crack cleaner. Clock crack cleaner of clocks. Clean me a clock crack cautiously. Clean me a clock crack that's cracked. Now, can you remember the third one? This is the sandwich. Sandwich slicer, sandwich slicer, sandwich slicer of sandwiches. Slice me a sandwich swiftly. Slice me a sandwich not sliced. Now, can you remember the fourth item, or the fourth thing? It was a rat. Oh no! So you might say you might have some rats in your house, and you might think this: rat ratter. Rat ratter, rat ratter of rats. Rat me a rat readily. Rat me a rat not catched. So we enjoyed that. That's four verses. Now we can put them all together now. See if you can remember them. And I've also put a little bit on the. On the end to end the story. So let's remind ourselves, we're going to start off with the padlock. Padlock picker, padlock picker, padlock picker of locks. Pick me a padlock promptly. Pick me a padlock that's locked. Clock crack cleaner, clock crack cleaner, clock crack cleaner of clocks. Clean me a clock crack cautiously. Clean me a clock crack that's cracked. Sandwich slicer, sandwich slicer, sandwich slicer of sandwiches. Slice me a sandwich swiftly. Slice me a sandwich not sliced. Rat ratter, rat ratter, rat ratter of rats. Rat me a rat readily. Rat me, a rat not catched. The lock is locked. The clock cracked. The rat's not ratted. The sandwich is missing a slice. Rats not catched. Rat's plan hatched. Rats like a sandwich not sliced. Rats think it tastes rather nice. And that is a poem for today. So we've got 4 verses in there, and I think they were funny, and I think you people did too. Just everyday sort of things. Well, not everyday things like rats, but we've got the locks and the clocks and the sandwiches, which can be yummy, and you can get the rhymes going. And I've put a few verses on the couple of verses on the end. So it's not only funny, rhyming, fun poetry, it tells a story as well, and I think that's really, really clever. So that's today's poem. Now, I'm not wearing my glasses, and I think I do have to wear my glasses when I am reading and working, doing other things, but I'm going to have to put my glasses on. And why? Because just bear with me now, because I have I have a book here, and that book is called The 99 Word Storybook to Inspire, Imagine and Create. And it does what it says on the tin or the book cover. Stories that only have 99 words in them. 99 words, not including the title. So if you are wanting to do a little bit of storytelling yourself, or you may want to write some poetry, you might want to write a book, short stories, novels, it's all fantastic. But you might look at a really, really thick book with 500, 600, 700 pages and think to yourself, I could never, ever write so much. How would I do that? Well, you've got to start somewhere. And you can start with 99 words. I think that's a nice sort of magical number, is 99 words. And it's somewhere to start. So if anyone, if you want to do, you can sort of go on Amazon and get that book. There's a few more stories in there. But I will share a bit like Clark Kent. So if I was Superman, no glasses, put your glasses on, unrecognisable if you are a supermarket, even a Superman fan. So glasses on, unrecognisable, glasses off, superhero. I'm only joking. Okay, so this one is the 99 word story book, and I do have a little saying in the beginning. Be brave, be bold, give us a story that's never been told. Don't be shy, give it a try. No limit on your age. Come and join the 99 word storybook page. Good stuff indeed. So I'm going to start. I'll give you a couple of 2 or 3. I think I might give you 3 stories from here. This first one is called Voyage. Huddling, the family looked out through the glass in horror. Rising and falling over the waves, the storm was relentless. Lightning danced in arcs of white. A heartless wind howled and rain lashed down on the highway laced with salt. Dawn brought hope. Warmth and calm spread across the ocean. A beach led to a green forest. Everyone cheered as the green bottle came to rest on the shore. Grandad kicked out the cork. Out jumped the elves. Fleeing the destruction of the goblins, they'd found a new home and were more than just another message in a bottle. And all that fun, all that excitement in just 99 words. There might actually be one or two extra words when I'm reading out live now and performing for all you lovely people. Might be a few more extra words in there, so please don't count those. But when you get it in print, 99 words. This second one, I'm sure everyone likes rainbows. Rainbows in the sky, quite magical and beautiful. And supposedly, or magically, there is a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. And sometimes they are associated, the pot of gold are associated with maybe Ireland and leprechauns and that sort of thing. But I'm sure there's all different sort of stories and legends all over the place. So this was called Pot of Gold. And it's about two helpers, if you like. They're burying the gold. And this is how it goes. If he finds out, we're in big trouble. Right, Fingal. But he won't. How do you know he won't, Barnabas? He doesn't want to. What does that mean? He's all for himself. Loves to party with all the other magical folk. Barnabas, they, meaning you, they are supposed to find a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. Not anymore. Exactly. We're using the wrong magical paint. And magical it is. It keeps moving. They'll never find the end. Exactly. We'll soon be rich. Beyond our wildest dreams. Barnabas and Fingal laughed so much, they nearly knocked over the paint. So again, another 99-word story. And you could tell these to your friends. You don't have to be telling stories. You don't have to tell stories for half an hour, 30 minutes or an hour, or stand up for ages. You could start off by just a very short 99-word story and so much adventure in just 99 words. Now this next one, or this last one today, it's set in a magical wood, and I'm sure all over the world, there are many, many magical woods. And in some magical woods, the animals talk. The rabbits, the hares, the foxes, the fish, the woodpeckers, the hedgehogs, they all talk. And that is very, very magical indeed. And this one is called Catch a Fish. The tournament started with a clang of pots and pans tied to the willow tree, and excitement rushed through the contestants. Blue Hat Hare led them up the hill to the great pond, and it was Old Woodpecker who reminded them of the rules. Coin Crow kept count, and Crazy Squirrel marks scores up on the blackboard with his stick of yellow chalk. Grandma Hedgehog had made pots of plum jam, and Slim Stoat served up his famous elderberry fizzy lemonade. And the winner was young Walter by 2 bream and 1 stickleback. After all, he was a kingfisher. So that, I do hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget, try this. A lot of people might say, don't try this at home. But you need to try this at home. Just however you want to get into storytelling or writing. Tell it in round about 99 words. Or write it in 99 words. You know where to start. Okay. What we'll do now is, this is an exclusive. I've never told this story before. And it's about a young man. It's about a young boy. And he's only 12 years old. And his name is Martin. And where does Martin live? Well, he lives in a far away, or used to live in a far away village set right here in Yorkshire. Over 1,000 years ago, right here in sunny Yorkshire. And he lived with his mum and dad in a very, very small little house on the top of a big hill. And behind the hill, big boulders, bigger than skyscrapers, absolutely gigantic boulders, more or less a mountain. And there was only one path in. There was one small gap, just as wide as a door. And if you look to my right, just there's a door. And if you look to my left, there is a door. So you can imagine you've got some massive boulders, taller than a giraffe, nearly as tall as a mountain. And you look up, you're so sheer and smooth, you cannot climb up them. No one could climb up them. And just a door's width, you could walk through them. Excuse me. And if you knew the way, walk through the mountain, walk through the gap, and it will bring you to a magical forest. Now, in the magical forest, some very, very precious stones, diamonds and blue sapphires. And blue sapphires, just like that one there, and diamonds that could be cut into many shapes, just like this one here. Now, you probably know that diamonds could be worth many, it could be pounds, dollars, whatever currency. It could buy you a castle, your own kingdom, a fantastic yacht, a wonderful lifestyle, indeed. So diamonds, I'll hold them up again, blue sapphires and diamonds. And they were found in the ground. But this wood was no everyday, ordinary wood. I'm just going to bob those down there. So I have some more things to show you. So when I sort of bob down to the left-hand side, that means I'm going to grab something to show you. Quite visual, the storytelling. So imagine the big boulders, a door's width, you can walk through. And when you get into the woods, just like any other wood, really, apart from diamonds and blue sapphires to be found in the ground. But I think you might have already guessed it. It's a magical wood. We have dwarves, elves, pixies, talking animals, an all array of magical and beautiful creatures. And for centuries, for going on 1,000 years, people left the magical wood alone. Because why? Because it was such a happy place to live. All that magic, kindness and love in the ground. You take the blue sapphire, the blue sapphires. What did they do? Well, the elves had most of the most powerful magic. Now, they used to mine the blue sapphires and also the other magical woods all over the rest of England. So they used to exchange and trade the blue sapphires, but because they knew a little bit of I'm going to take my glasses off, you see. Got so into the storytelling, I'm away with my glasses. There you are. Because they had the blue sapphires, they did other things with them, but they knew lots of magic. And what they used to do is sprinkle a little bit into the water and sprinkle a little bit into the skies above. So in summer, the skies really were the most beautiful sapphire blue, the most gorgeous summer days. And the waters, the rivers and the lakes around Yorkshire were all a magnificent sapphire blue. And all the fish and the eels and all the frogs and all the other animals that live in there are very happy indeed. Now, the diamonds. What did the diamonds do? Well, again, the dwarves used to mine the diamonds. And again, what did the elves do? Well, they traded them, just like the sapphires, they traded them with other things. But the diamonds brought sparkle and hope to everyone that lived in the area. And they sprinkled just a little bit into the sky. And if you were in that particular area of Yorkshire, the sky, the diamonds, even the stars in the sky were just that little bit brighter, that little bit more magical. But the most beautiful and magical thing of all were the winters, because they sprinkled some of the magic into the diamonds and spread it around. The winters were truly magnificent. The most beautiful, cold, exciting pure white snow used to fall, and they had the ice and the icicles, and the winters were indeed fantastic. No better winters. Now, the trouble was, excuse me, there's a horrible, nasty, evil witch. She didn't like anyone. In fact, she didn't even like herself. And she wanted to get into the magical forest and use the diamonds and the sapphires for horrible, nasty black magic. Now, it was rumoured through all the land that the only reason why no one had ever gone into the woods is because it was guarded by a very, very powerful wizard indeed. And hundreds of years ago, up to 1,000 years ago, the people loved him, they revered him, and over the years, people used to see him less and less. And the children and the people of the area possibly stopped believing in the wizard and his magic. And he was just an everyday old man, if you like. How can I describe him? Well, he was an old man, very kind man. He had a very kind face, very warm and kind face. He had long hair, and it had gone white. He had long white hair, big beard, big moustache. He had a big hat on, a big wizard cloak, and he had his magical staff. So a typical wizard. And he lived in a little stone hut, about a couple of miles away from where young Martin lived. And he used to see Martin and his family every now and then. Now, nasty things started to happen, and people were becoming scared. And why? Two very, very scary things indeed. Now, do not be scared, but that is a nasty wolf indeed. Now, don't get me wrong, some wolves can be kind and very, very protective, but our wolf for this story is nasty. And he is a white wolf, and he was under the command and the influence of the nasty witch. And this horrible, put him on there, look, this horrible, nasty wolf. I can't see him now, so I'm not scared, but I can see him there. He used to patrol when it was cold. When it was cold, winter time, the nasty wolf, controlled by the witch, was going around the land and gobbling people up. People were screaming and crying and running away. And people didn't like it. They didn't go hunting for the wolf at all. It was so big, so strong, and so powerful. Wasn't nice indeed. Okay. And the second horrible, nasty beast that the witch controlled was a dragon. Now, this was no ordinary dragon, because she had magic as well, and she had carved from the wood of the trees, a dragon. Look at that one. Oh, sound like a pirate then. And that is one nasty dragon indeed. And it used to go around the forest, and it used to tear trees down, and it could breathe fire. And not only would it knock the trees down with its powerful, powerful claws. It would knock them down with a big swishy tail. Look at that big swishy tail. And also, it could breathe fire. And people, again, were scared. And the whole idea behind this was because if the nasty witch could get in, get rid of all the villagers and scare the wizard away, then what could she do? She would go through the pass in the stone, in the rock, and get to the woods. And she was that powerful, the people of the forest, the elves, the dwarves, the pixies, all the magical creatures would not be able to fight her, would not be able to fight her off, especially if you have, goodness me, if you've got a wolf and a dragon. Whoa, look at that. Oh, you're not going to get those. Like they are. Oof, I would run away. Even if, when I finish telling this story, I'm going to have that tuna mayonnaise sandwich, and I don't think even I would be strong enough to fight them off. No way. I don't think I'd be able to fight them off. I would be very scared of a wolf and a dragon, and I think you would too. So what was happening? People were very, very scared indeed. But what did Martin think? Martin truly believed in magic. And he truly believed in the wizard. And what he did one day, very, very poor family. And always remember this. I've talked and mentioned about diamonds. And I've also mentioned about the blue sapphires. Very, very precious. But sometimes people think, I'm going to copper up. Coppers can't buy you much. But maybe they might do. Because Martin and his family were so poor, the plates they had was made from clay. His dad, what they used to do is, his dad used to get some of the clay and try and mould plates and cups and saucers and things like that. And then he would put them in a kiln. And a kiln is like an oven. It's a very, very hot thing indeed. And you could put your clay in there and fire it, as they say, and it would make things. I'm just going to tip those out. And you could make some nice little pots, just like that one there, in a kiln. But then also, you might have some copper pennies. Now, if your dad had made you that nice dish as a birthday present, if you came from a very, very poor family, and you had a nice dish, it's like a green colour there, like a sort of a green colour, you'd be very happy. Thanks, Dad. Might even give him a kiss. So if that was one of your birthday presents, and you only had a handful of coppers, and you put them in there, and that's all you had, and you marched off, and you walked at a very fast pace, and you walked down to see the wizard, and he said, I know who will save us from the wolf and the dragon and the horrible witch. The wizard. I believe in him. And if you went down there to give him everything, forget about the diamonds, forget about the blue sapphires, that's everything. So surely that is worth more, because that's everything. And that is a lot to give just one person, even a wizard. So when he starts walking down there, he starts to smell smoke and burning. And then he starts to hear a lot of shouting. And there's panic. What's happening? Now, believe it or not, most stone, you can't really burn stone unless you get it to a really, really high temperature. But when he came through the clearing, there wasn't much left. The wizard had gone. Burnt to ash. What could happen? Martin was nearly in tears and went through. Now the wizard loved candles a bit like this one. I'll just hold that a little bit closer. That is a candle. So all around where he used to live, you could just see candles. That's a white one, is that candle? I'll put it on the other side. You might have to see it a little bit better. And it's there. And it is a candle, all just left. And there was nothing, just stone, a little bit of ash, all burnt. All his table, his chairs, all his possessions, just ash, little corners here and there. And the only thing that they found just the corner, just with a floppy. The wizard had a pointy hat, and it used to flop down around. And just the only thing that they could find that would link it to the wizard was a part of his hat. And Martin was in tears, and everyone was panicking and scared because they knew now, even though they didn't believe in him and they'd more or less forgotten about him, the wizard was there to protect them. And everyone was hoping that the wizard would return, and the wizard would get rid of the wolf and get rid of the dragon and get rid of the witch. But that was not going to happen. So Martin ran home and he told his mum and dad. And for the first time, he saw a little bit of fear in his mum and dad's eyes. And he went to bed that night and he couldn't sleep. Couldn't sleep at all. But then he heard a voice in his head. And he couldn't make out the voice to start off with. But then he was sure it was the wizard's voice saying to him, Martin, Martin, do not fear. I haven't left you. I will help you. And you need to help me. But when he got up in the morning, he was thinking to himself, was it a dream or was it real? And he wasn't quite sure until he went to his dish. Because you remember, he'd taken his dish, put the pennies in, and took that to the wizard. But he brought it back. But to his surprise, all the pennies had gone and this dish was left empty. So he thought something's happening. And he was thinking about it all night. And on the second night, the wizard's voice came again. He said, Martin, do not worry, because in the morning I will leave you 2 gifts. You must be strong and brave. Believe in me, your family, and yourself. And you will be able to defeat the witch. So, he wakes up the next morning and he looks at the side of his bed. And you're not going to believe this, but there is a knife, a copper sword or knife. Yeah? Can you see that? And there's also a second one. Now, this second one is a lot smaller, and it's got a magic crystal. Can you see that? Shining there. Martin knew that the wizard was alive. And the voice sounded in his head. He said, Martin, you alone must face the dragon. You alone must face the wolf. And you alone must face the witch. And he shivered. Oh, goodness me. So scared. What could anyone? Is there anyone out there? Anyone now? I mean, you could put your hand up. Is anyone going? Me. Anyone brave enough? Anyone strong enough to find? Goodness me. Would you be able not only to, number 1, fight a dragon, number 2, fight a wolf, but number 3, fight a witch? Not me. I'm going to hide. I'm going. Bye. No, I'm not. I'm on here. I'm not really. I'm sure I've got to get to the end of the story. So I'll have to be brave and tell you. So the time had come. And most of the villagers had fled. And it was quite obvious now that the wolf and the dragon were marching up the hill. And they would just destroy everything in their path. Go through the path. It's just wide as the door. Wide as the door in the rock. Going to the woods. No one would stop them. Now we'll start with the wolf. And it came bounding up, knocking people out of anybody silly enough to still be there was gobbled up. But Martin, he came out and he said, Mum, Dad, go back inside. And his dad said, no, son, no, son. And his mum was crying. And she said, get inside, go inside. The wizard will help us. The wizard helped me. He said, look, I have a magic sword. And he got out the magic sword. And the wizard started to talk. And his mum and dad looked up and they believed him. And said, Martin, take the sword in your hand. So he took the sword in his hand and the wolf approached. Big claws, big teeth. And it growled, it got nearer and nearer and nearer, just like a wolf did. And as it pounced towards Martin, it raised it high in the air, shoo, like that. I'll do that again. And it just went, shoo, like that. And in one foul, swift blow, shoo, chopped off the wolf's head. Just like that there, gone. Then, all of a sudden, a nasty, horrible, fire-breathing wood dragon appeared. And it was flying in the sky, and it was swooping from left to right and circling above, and it was breathing fire. And Martin dodged all the fire, and it came flying in. But the wizard's voice spoke in his mind again, spoke in his ear, and he knew just under here, just where, if you know, there, where your heart is, somewhere here, where your heart, the wizard knew exactly where to strike. So Martin held the sword, and the dragon swooped in, and he held strong, and he thrust out with the sword, and it pierced the dragon's heart, and it howled and screamed so horrible to cover your ears up, and it just went up in a big, horrible ball of smoke and disappeared. And that only left the witch, and she was horrible indeed. And she wasn't only just old, she was bent and she was crooked and she had a horrible bent nose and she had one blue eye and she had one green eye and she only had a few teeth and she had horrible bony fingers and she smelled a little bit of this. She's really nasty. Anything that you can think about, she was just absolutely horrible. Now, but she had a lot of magic and she appeared and she was laughing. I will kill you, Martin. And her mum and dad were trembling. And he killed the wolf. And he killed the dragon. But what else could he do? And all he had, if you remember, was a small dagger. And he took the dagger. But it came in two. And he separated the two. And remember, he had the magical pendant. And he also had the blade. Again, the voice sounded, and the witch's talons grew and grew into sharp knives, and she was trying to chop Martin down. But what did he do? He fought her off with another sword, and he chopped her fingernails off, and she was screaming, no, how did you manage to do that? How did you manage to do that? And just as she was screaming, he said, make her look, just point that in her face. And it was another magical stone. And she knew, and she was attacking, and they were fighting, and there was nails going everywhere. And she was trying to get Martin, and he was chopping. And then just at the right time, he thrust out his right arm. And just at the right moment, the horrible witch's eyes, horrible indeed, two different colours, looked into that magic stone. And she screamed, no, please. And she turned into a big swirl of yellow smoke and was sucked in to the pendant, sucked into the stone, never to be seen again. And his mum and his dad came rushing out, and his dad put his arms around Martin, and his mum did it as well, and they're all crying and laughing at the same time. They couldn't believe their brave boy. And a voice sounded to all of them, sounded in the sky, saying, I will never forget all the good, kind people, just like you three, and in particular Martin. You're a good, kind boy. You're nearly a man. You've protected the magical woodland from the witch, the wolf, and the dragon. Your name, Martin, will go into legend, and I will never leave your side. Thank you for being brave. And word soon spread, and people started to come, and they started to love and respect and look after the magical woodland. But just before that happened, when they went back inside and they had something to eat and drink and all sat down like a nice family, Martin noticed something just above the small little fireplace. Something had appeared that wasn't there before. Now, if you remember, I told you that the wizard loved candles, and a candle had appeared in Martin's house on the fireplace, and surprisingly, it looked just like this one, a candle image of the wizard. And there he is. He's got his staff, he's got his long hair, he's got his beard, his staff, his cloak, everything. Because although the witch was very, very powerful in magic, the wizard never went away. He was thinking of ways it might be a few centuries before he could actually appear in human form, but he could still talk in people's mind, he could still communicate with people, and he could still do a little bit of magic. And he'd managed with one last little bit of magic, because the witch, if you remember, it burned him to a cinder, and nasty thing to do, but he managed to survive in the form of a candle. And one thing that Martin did notice, when he went and he was upset and he was looking around through all the ash and all the remnants of the of where the wizard used to live, he found a little bit of the witch's hat. And if you look closely there, just on the corner of his hat, there's a little bit of the hat missing. It's burnt and melted away. So he knew that was his wizard. And he looked at it and he smiled, and all the family did. And when he put it back on the mantelpiece, he heard laughing, and he said, "Martin, I'll never ever leave your side." And Martin always remembered that, and he lived to be a very, very old man himself. He lived to be over 100 years old, and people came from far and wide so he could regale the stories of how he slew the witch, the dragon and the wolf, how he brought hope and kindness back to the villagers. And he also told them a few tales about the magic woodland with the door width gap in the rock. But above all else, he never ever told anyone about what went on in the woodland, and he never let anyone in. And before you ask, no, I do not know where the doorway is. You will have to go and find it for yourself. And that is today's performance from me, David Driver. I do hope that you've enjoyed this. We've had another copper penny story, and also we've had a little bit of poetry and some 99-word stories. And just before I go, as usual, and I can never remember, so I'm going to point at this side, I'll point at that side, because there is what we call a collection hat, pass the hat. It's somewhere either to my left or to my right. If you want to make a donation, it's entirely up to you. Small, medium or large, it doesn't matter. You don't have to make any donation whatsoever. But if you do, that would be very, very much appreciated. I hope that you're all safe and well. You've enjoyed the performance. And please check out all the other fantastic performances and performers right here, the World Storytelling Cafe. I hope to see you very, very soon. But for now, It's goodbye, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.